If it's not, they will pull it off and you can get a fine. And I'm gonna say who gets the fine? The agent gets a fine, listing agent and the brokerage. And also there could be backlash to the seller as well. So just, just like advertising, okay? So you gotta be very, very careful in terms of what you do. And even if you're selling it privately, you still fall under the same rules in terms of the Tenant Protection Act. Reasonable notice 24 hours. You have some residential residents that are respectful. They'll let you show the property in 15 minutes notice. It's different. But you always have to be respectful of the rules and be aware of what they are so you don't fall into any traps. Another reason is understand where my background, and maybe some of you don't know my background. When I came into real estate, I just want you to know that I did not want to be a real estate agent, okay? I was in banking, doing okay. But the seed was planted about a year before I got into real estate when I tried to sell the first property, actually the second property that we owned. And I thought, well, this seems pretty easy. I'm a pretty good marketer, so I don't know if anyone remembers a company named Pear Tree. Anyone ring a bell for anybody? Probably not, okay. But anyway, they used to be a for sale by owner company. They would provide you with signs, lawn signs and stuff like that. I thought, okay. I got good traffic. I got quite a few people coming into our property in Mississauga in Deer Run. The issue was, I got verbal offers, but guess what? The bank wouldn't accept the verbal offer. Fancy that, okay? And meanwhile, we bought another house, but we couldn't sell that house, okay? Not like other than verbal doesn't cut it, okay? And I thought, I don't understand, like, the property's so nice, why isn't someone putting in a written offer? I don't get it, right? And then I met this guy in the grocery store, one of the people that came into the open house. And we had struck up a conversation. And he says, oh, you had a really nice house. I said, yeah, you said you were going to put an offer, like what happened? He goes, oh, I would never put an offer in without my agent. I said, but who told you couldn't have your agent do the offer? Like, it doesn't have to be do the offer, like, whatever, right? He goes, oh, no, I don't do business that way. That's one reason. Because again, they don't know. And now I've learned, most buyers don't trust the seller direct. They just don't, okay? So there's another reason why you hire somebody else, but I still wasn't really be an agent. And when I was in banking, I had one agent. Brokerage was one of those big brokerages you've heard of. I'll just nameless, doesn't really matter. But I was the bank manager, and he asked me to see if his buyers would qualify for this purchase they just made. It was conditional on financing, right? I looked at it, did the ratios, and there's no way they're going to qualify, right? So I said, I'm sorry, these buyers don't qualify. He goes, what do they need to qualify? I said, well, their income's too low by a significant amount. He goes, oh, he says, I can. He goes, okay, I'll just, I can get other forms. I go, what do you mean you can get other forms? He goes, I can get other forms to replace these forms. I go, well, what do you mean? I was really naive back then, really, really naive, right? He says, I'll just change them. I said, like, what do you mean? He goes, what numbers do you need? I'll make it happen. Oh, I said, so you're talking about manufacturing, okay, salary letters. He goes, yeah. I go, no, that's fraud. We don't do that, no. And so I said, see the exit sign? He said, yeah. I said, go out and don't come back, because I don't want to get involved in anything that's going to hurt people. About 2 weeks later, another agent, different company, comes in, pretty well the same type of situation. And he asked me to do the same thing. And I said, I'm thinking, are real estate agents like so scummy, right? Like that they're actually going to do this kind of stuff? So, and I was really upset the second time. The first time the second time I was angry, really angry. So I showed him the same exit sign. At least they could read that 4-letter word. But anyway, out they went. And then about a month after that, Elaine Engle came in, and she was a real estate agent, only she was completely different. And she really cared about her clients. She didn't ask me to do anything, bad or anything. I didn't think that. In fact, she was totally honest. I said, you know, Elaine, I said, I have 2 questions. She says, what's that? I said, number 1, what's your blood type? Okay? And number 2, how do you stay in the industry with so many sharks? And she said, and she laughed, she said, well, it's an O, blood type O. And the reason I stay in the industry is because to help my clients from those sharks. But Peter, she says, I want you to know, I've been in the industry for some time now. She says, most people are good. She goes, you just had a couple of really bad experiences with those agents, because most agents aren't like that. And when I thought about it, I thought, okay, that's good to know. But I thought, if I ever, like, I loved helping people with their banking, and I was the bank manager, so at different banks, and I was helping, qualify them for the mortgages. So real estate was a big part of it, obviously, right? However, I wanted to empower them further, and I thought, well, real estate would be nice, being able to help them buy their homes and all that. But I was still in banking at that point, right? That's when the seed was planted. But a year later, we fast forward, okay? And then, as circumstances, so I go to sell our first house, and of course, who do I call? I call Elaine. I didn't call the 2 quote-unquote bad agents, right? But every industry has them, good, bad, and ugly. So we have to do our part to leverage the good and navigate through the uncertain or the ones that we can't trust. In everything. There's good, bad, and great painters, right? There's good, bad, and great auto service mechanics, right? Auto service technicians, right, Grant?
Yeah.
Okay, exactly. Not all are created equal just based on their title, right? So, when I was in banking, so then we bought this new construction. We still had the house to sell, and I did my own marketing fair trade, right? And so then I thought, okay, now we're running out of time. Now we only have first we had about a year, now we got about 6 months to go. And I go, okay, and my wife's getting a little nervous at this point, like, okay, the house still isn't sold, what do we do? Okay, well, it's time to call in an agent that I know, Elaine. So tried the private stuff, didn't get anything written, so okay, fine. So I call Elaine, and Elaine was great. She was awesome, right? And I thought, okay, if I ever get out of banking, then that's when I'll go. I want to be like Elaine, right? I met Judith, her business partner. She was just exactly the same Elaine. She cared about people, and everything was great, right? Then in banking, I don't know if most of you know, I don't think normally. I just don't, okay? Because normal just gets us average results, so that's just never really worked for me. So back when I was with Canada Trust before they merged with TD, I came up with this concept because I would have couples come in, and it would be like a spouse, couples coming in, and say he wanted the variable rate and she wanted the fixed rate, or vice versa, but you could only get one. And for me, it was just like, why not give them both what they want? So I came up with the flex mortgage. I came up with that concept, okay? Anyway, I submitted to head office, and they thought I was like out of my mind, okay? We're going back like 30 years ago, right? And they thought, like no one's gonna go for this. Like, what are you thinking? I go, look, I'm just trying to get people what they want. Again, it was suggested that you were allowed to put in your suggestions. They thought, no, it's just too complicated for the computers to figure it out. I said, it's not complicated. You just have somebody program it for years and years and years. But at the time, I was ahead of the time. I wasn't a good employee. Another thing that happened is, in terms of employees, and God bless those people that work on assembly lines, because I'm telling you, I would be the worst assembly line worker on planet Earth, right? Do the same thing. I mean, a robot can do it, but also some things that a robot can do, you need actual people to do it. That's just not me. My mind's just constantly going, right? So the reason I mention that is, so I'm not a good order taker. I want to give people choices. So back then, Canada Trust came up with the product of the month called the full service package back then, right? I looked at it, and before, and I grew the branch to be the #1 branch for mortgages in all of that district, okay? And setting records and all that, because we gave people what they wanted. Not a complicated formula, right? It's about service, leading first, giving people what they want, asking what's important to them, and you tailor it, give them what they want. right? It came up with this full service package. One of the things that was included in it, that if they called in to get their bounces, you gave it. But if they had the full service package and they were paying $7.95 a month forever, then you'd give them a bounce. I'm going, no, we're already doing that now. Why are we nickel and diming that? Okay? So, anyway, I told my staff that, okay, this product, I went through it, I said, I don't see the value in it, so I'm not going to promote it. I'm not an order taker manager. I don't do that. So I literally locked it under the front desk. And I had a staff of 30-something, and most of them agreed with me, but there were a handful that didn't. Okay? So they reported me to the office saying that I was bad, right? That I didn't follow the corporate line, and blah, blah, blah. So my AVP, Joe, came in, had a special meeting with me, and he goes, we sat across from my desk, and so he says, I understand you just did this, you had this staff meeting and you didn't promote the full service package. I said, that's right, I didn't. He goes, why not? I said, because the clients don't benefit. I see Canada Trust benefiting, I see the clients losing. And I said, Joe, if I've missed anything, then enlighten me. If not, conversation's over. And I slid over the full service package. It was a very wide desk. I slid it over to him, and and if looks could kill, I'd be dead. But he had that look like he wanted to punch me in the head. But, he goes, you got to learn more how to wear your corporate hat, because, you don't do a good job of that. And I thought, good, I don't want to do a good job of being plastic, right? That's not me. And anyway, I got fired. So 2 weeks later, I got fired because I didn't follow the corporate line. And I was devastated. I was at my lowest point in my life at that point. I thought about committing suicide. It was terrible. We were expecting our first child. Brandon's in the room now. Okay. We had our first baby on the way, closing on our first brand new construction, and I just got fired, right? I'm thinking, this is horrible. So on that ride home that day, it was like, it was a very lonely place. I was in depths of depression, right? And all for doing what I thought was the right thing. But sometimes when you stand up for what you believe in, you suffer initially. But now I look back, and you know what? It was the best thing that happened. Because if I have stayed there, I would have never lived the life I'm living now. I would never helped the people that I helped, that we've helped. And I would have been in somebody else's shadow. So if you don't stand up for what you believe in, then any path will take you there. And the world is a dangerous place if you don't partner with the right people. I can't emphasize that enough. So we made decisions. Elaine helped us sell the house, and I ended up getting into real estate, but I still wasn't ready to swim with the sharks. Okay? I still wasn't ready to become, I didn't want to swim with sharks. Damn it. That concept was so foreign. But for me, I'd already benefited from it. And so I went to work for a company where I could work for a developer directly. Didn't need to get a real estate license, didn't need to swim with the sharks. I could just work for a developer directly, and that's what I did. And we helped lots of people build their network, using money that otherwise, how many people in the room have ever received a return on the income tax dollars that you sent to the government that benefited you or your family directly? What return on investment did you get for your income tax dollars? Yeah, it's a big fat zero. Even if you're the Prime Minister of Canada, that's what you get from the CRA. Zero, okay? But there were ways back then, and obviously the laws have changed, but and there's still ways things you can do today, but they're not conventional. They're very, very abnormal. So I went to work for a company where I was able to do that. And some of the properties were in Ontario, and some of the other properties were in Florida, right? And so people benefit from those opportunities. So money that would have gone to the income tax got zero return, got a return. And some of them sold the property, some of them got positive cash flow, some of them still hold the properties today. Those properties were paid off years ago, and all they got is positive cash flow from me back. So think about that. So So there are ways to leverage, if you know what to do and you write the right people. Then, because our kids were too young, and they were growing so fast, and I was away from the house a lot, like for days at a time, so up to 2 weeks at a time. When you come back and your kids are really young, and all of a sudden you like they change, so they transform in front of you, like over that period of time, like you know, my heart was just melting, right? Just like every time I had to go away. So then that's when I bit the bullet. I said, okay, enough of this traveling thing. So I went and interviewed 5 different brokers. I ended up going to work with Realty Executives, local in Brampton, and then because of integrity, okay. And that's how I got started. Then I ended up doing something unconventional there, because I remember it was the second listing that I had, and I looked at what the clients wanted, so I did it exclusively, right? And I ended up getting the sellers $9,500 more than market value with my marketing that I've learned, that I built upon for the last 5 years. And plus, I took marketing university about it. Okay, so the people in the office were all like, "Who's this? You know, this rookie agent? How did you do this?" Right? And so I shared with them what I did. Then the broker hauls me into her office, and she says, "That's not how we do it here. Sit down." She goes, "That's not the red, white, and blue." Those were the colors of the signs. She wanted us all to use the red, white, and blue signs so we'd all be the same. And so I said, time out. I said, I thought we were independent contractors. I thought we worked directly for the clients. She said, "Yeah, that's true." I said, "So what's with the red, white, and blue?" She said, I didn't use red, white, and blue because I wanted to be different. I wanted to attract attention. What do you think my marketing did? If they saw the same sign everywhere, other than the name change, what's the reason to call me? My signs didn't have my name on them. My signs were completely different. My signs talked about attracted people to how they could own this home with a little minimum down payment and so much per month. I didn't say the price of the house. So think about it. If you're a first-time buyer, okay, you're driving along, you see these signs for sale, for sale, for sale, and then you see this other sign, open house, own this home for only $2,395 to $2,395, or whatever the payments were, like $1,425 a month. Like, what are you going to do? Aren't you curious? Well, I'll tell you exactly what happened. So I go to do an open house on an exclusive listing. It's not on the MLS, right? Why wasn't it on the MLS? The seller didn't want it on the MLS. The seller didn't want a lot of traffic. Well, you've already given. They didn't want a lot of traffic through the house. The house was a great house, but they wanted it exclusive. And second reason, they didn't want to pay the other agent fee. So basically, I was doing everything for half price, right? I was new. I was learning, right? I figured, okay, I'll do it all for half price, right? And I got $9,500 more. Well, what I learned was, to get the $9,500 more, I had to leverage. So even though it was exclusive, I offered to pay the other agents half of what I was being paid. And one of the agents said to me, "Are you crazy? This is an exclusive listing. You can sell this yourself. Like, why are you doing this?" I said, "Because I want my clients to get the best of everything, right?" And he goes, "Well," he goes, "Well, I don't know how you're doing," but he goes, "Yeah, I'll bring an offer." He did. Anyway, even though it was a blizzard just before the house started, we still attracted 25 groups through. In an open house, normally you get 2 or 3. With a blizzard, you normally get 0. But because of that, our marketing, we got 25 through. Set a record, we got 5 offers on the same night. It was a Sunday, okay? And it was only on the market 4 days. Okay? So again, defied all the odds. But I did everything wrong, conventionally speaking. Okay? And if you want to do everything the same as everybody else, all you're going to get is average results. So don't think like that. I mean, I'm telling you, I encourage you not to think like that. You may pay the price initially. I got all the odds, got yelled at, whatever, and I got but the moment she said that, in my mind, I was out of there. I don't want to work for a tyrant. I don't want to work for somebody where I can't be flexible and show my marketing skills. Like that's like handcuffing me behind my back. Not happening, right? So then I started my own company after that. Surprise, surprise. And guess what? Now I wasn't yelling at myself. I was able to do creative marketing, help a lot more people, and guess what? And then we started, I joined with a couple of friends of mine, we started the first KW in Mississauga. Started with 16 agents, grew with another developer, and now I just left, and now since it's been a couple of weeks now, and I have more freedom because now I'm working in a space where I've developed this network, and it's like I want to work in a place where I get to be very, very flexible, and I can customize and do things and offer all sorts of opportunities for our clients, and we don't have to be just one channel like the MLS. The MLS is just, it's one channel. I leverage the MLS, but it's not the only thing. Okay, and that's why I've developed these networks on my phone. I can show you, like, there's just a stream. I mean, every single day, I get. Let's see. I'll just tell you. It's just the last time I checked. I'll just tell you. Okay, there's another 6 there. Okay, in the last hour. Okay, 6 in the last hour, and sometimes it's more than that. But that's how many opportunities I get streaming through me through my different networks. So when I have a match and I just call up my clients, okay, and I text, or it depends if they want to text, or we'll email them, and I'll say, okay, this is up. They'll tell me, hey, yeah, I already know what they want because they already told me, and now we got it, so that we connect with them. And then it's up to them to act if they want. That's up to them, right? But you can't get that on the MLS. The MLS also handcuffs our marketing. So another reason that a lot of people don't like the MLS. And when I work with builders and developers, okay, yeah, but let's say you're a custom builder. You don't want your properties on the MLS. I found that early on. Why? Like when I was working for those developers? Because what they had was something unique, the tax advantages. You can't mention the MLS. And by the way, if you had a great home, okay, and the MLS is like, as they call it the dollar RAM approach. So if again, it's like taking a great home, great custom home, and then going to the dollar store and saying, hey, okay, sell my house. Do they ever leave the front desk? No, they have to collect the cash at the front desk, right? So if you ask them for advice, what's the difference about this product, that product? Well, that one's $1.99, that one's $2.99. Oh, I guess the $2.99 must be better. Or they just shrug their shoulders, right? But if you've developed a custom home versus a stock home, you know there's a tremendous difference. The custom home is worth more if it's built by quality builders. But again, it's not something that you can necessarily see because sometimes it's the support underneath, the subfloor, it's the way it's been built, and all sorts of things. So there's a difference. So you want it marketed exclusively. Exclusively gives you that right match. You think about diamonds, it's the same thing. If you've got a diamond in, say, Burke's Jewelers, and you take the diamond, you put it at the dollar store, what happens to the perceived value of that diamond automatically? What happens? It goes down, right? Exactly. And the opposite, it goes up, right? It's the same diamond, but it's how it's marketed and where it's marketed to and which channels, and that all matters. That's why everything matters in marketing, and I like no boundaries when it comes to marketing. But in the MLS, you're restricted. There used to be 463 characters. No, I didn't count them. I just remembered the number on the forms, okay? And I protested that for years. They finally, after 15 plus years, they've now increased it to 1,000. But there's still other areas that you can only put a maximum of 2 or 3 indicators. What if this home has more than 3? You're capped out. So you've got a dollar store approach in terms of stuff in your marketing. I don't like that. Okay. So exclusive works better. And if you have a choice, that's why if you have a custom home or builders, you want to be able to do that. Another reason why you can't use the MLS is because the builders prohibit on their forms when you buy pre-construction, you cannot put it on the MLS. Why do you think they do that? This is, by the way, pretty standard now across the board for most builders. They won't let you put on the MLS. You know why? They don't want you diluting the value of their products. they know instantly, the moment it goes on the MLS, the value of the product perceptually has been diluted because now you've got so many registrants out there trying to market that property. They don't know the details of the property. They don't know what makes it different, what makes this builder better than that builder and vice versa. So it's a diluted approach. They don't like that, right? They want to waste their time with the tire kickers. So that's another reason, right? Another reason is they want to make more money. So if you do it, I want you to understand legally, if it's in there, it says you can't, then I've talked to 5 different lawyers on this, and they're all the same, consistent. The builder has the final say. So even if you sell it, okay, and you get an agreement, someone wants to buy it, you still need the builder to give the final authorization. And that's when they nail you with either a penalty or they say, no, we're not accepting it, not until all of our other inventory, in terms of our active inventory, that's all sold, and then we'll let you go through. Or no, you still have to close on it. So you see what I'm saying? So they're kind of holding you by the throat. I don't like that, right? But there are some builders now that have gone with it and saying, okay, you're going to go out and do your assignment, we'll authorize it, we'll even agree. So long as you don't undercut it lower than what our prices are, then we'll let you do it. But those are the enlightened ones, and they're few and far between. Few and far between. I just wanted to give you that background because this is the kind of stuff you can't find on Google. You can't find on the internet. It doesn't exist. Okay? That's the real world. That's what happens. So I share these things with you just to give you a slice of the real world because it's really, really important, right? And so in my journeys, obviously I go to a lot of investment seminars. And so years ago, how many years ago was it, Kirsten, I first met you and Joyce? But anyways, yeah, I think we went from Mississauga to Vegas. Not together, but we met. Right. Yeah. So, and again, we were on similar paths and journeys, right? And I remember you said to me that you heard some things and you invested a lot of money in this investment. I remember it was something distinctly, it haunted me when you told me this. I was okay with it initially when you told me that. I said, that's okay. You said, you know what? And Harrison said, you know what? He says, your seminars are really good, but you should be charging for it. And I said, no, that's not the intention. I don't want to make money with these seminars. I want to educate people. And if people want to take action, that's great, right? And he says, no, because you got to monetize it. So, I mean, he's got a different perspective on it, right? But then he said, no, I've learned some things and I'm starting to leverage some of those ideas and he's benefiting from them. So he said, how can we do business together? And the thing is, he kept coming back to my seminars, right? And the content's always different. And I said, well, I can just give a testimonial. He goes, no, I'll give you a testimonial, but he goes, I want to do business with you. Why did you want to do business with me, Kirsten?
You had networking, you knew what you were talking about.
I appreciate that, and I respect that. Again, this is somebody I'd never met before, right? But he could see the value. And I like the fact that he was so genuine, and he was a sharer. That was one of the things that always impressed me about Harrison. And so, and when he was sincere, like he wasn't just saying, like he really wanted to help me, but he wanted to, I could see he had a really big heart and wanted to help a lot of people. So we've done a number of business transactions together, and again, the focus has been the same. And I like to network, and I like to build a relationship with people that I can count on, people that care about other people. But the people that don't care about other people, I don't send them Christmas cards. I just don't. You know why? Because that's one-sided. It doesn't work, right? So I want to work and continue to build that network. So Karen has been able to help a lot of people, and I find that some of the people he's helped haven't been very appreciative, and it's shocked me. But then he says that he shares the same things about me, and I go, yeah, you're right. So it's hard to self-examine yourself, because I have helped some people, and most of the people have been great, but there's the 5% club that no matter what you do, it's never good enough, right? I'm here to say that being 100% is an illusion. I gave you my definition of the perfect house. How many people would like a perfect house like that? Okay, yeah, everybody would.
Yeah.
The thing is, it doesn't exist. But again, if anyone finds one, I'll offer $1 more than anybody else. That's the investor part of me, okay, mindset, okay? So anyway, I wanted to say, Carson, come on up, Carson, come on, come up. Carson Chin, my friend for the last 10, 11 years, awesome guy, and he's just very down to earth and transparent. And he's, yeah, I appreciate that, okay? What I love about Carson is he's very, very humble. He's very, very smart, very intelligent, but he just shakes his dog. Oh, everybody can do this. Yeah, but not everybody did. You took action. Carson is an action taker. He's the kind of person that will swiftly take action. I've taken more action because of Carson, and it's great because we need people like Carson to help us, propel us to take steps faster than we otherwise would, right? And when we do that, everybody wins. So right now, we've been working on this project for, it seems, a long time. One way, we've gone through so many variations.
Yeah. But
now we're at today, and you wanted to share it with them. So this is an exclusive opportunity. They're not going to find it on the internet, are they?
No.
Because it will never be on the internet, right? Because it doesn't exist,
No.
right? Exactly. Okay. So I wanted to offer it to you because you've come out here. So Carson, please share what's going on.
We're doing a condo conversion down in Atlanta. So we're actually, it's an apartment complex that was always a condo, but we bought it as an apartment. So it's already individually deeded, 216 deeds, and we're renovating them and selling them. Current value of the property is about $100,000 a unit. We're renovating, putting about $30,000 to $40,000 of investment into it. That's where we're looking for investors to come in, be our part. We're giving a return on that money, and Peter Crew is going to be turning around and selling them for $190,000 to $210,000, and it's still considered affordable housing. In fact, we've got a couple of groups, North Atlanta Community Projects could be helping out the low-income buyers with their deposits. Google's come in, they're actually fibering up every unit so that the disadvantaged can now have full access to high-speed internet.
Which, by the way, is very rare, very rare. Because before, just giving some background, when he said 30 to 40,000, he was talking about per unit. It's not like you're going to renovate the whole 216 units for $34,000. Okay, that's not going to happen. Okay, but understand, look at the forced depreciation that happens. Okay, but in order to go through this, there's a lot of red tape, right?
Actually, in Atlanta, it's not that much red tape
compared to Toronto. Sure.
Yeah,
okay. But Toronto just drowns in red tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we applied for permits about 2 weeks ago. The permits just came yesterday.
Okay, 2 weeks for a permit. Okay. In Toronto, you're looking at, could take 9 to 12 months, easily. Okay. So big, massive difference, right? So now there's two different styles. There's a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom, two different sizes, like 950 square feet and 1,150 square feet.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And that's why the delta, the improvements, like they're going to be totally transformed. Like there are apartment buildings, like for apartment rentals. However, when you totally refurbish everything, I'm talking about everything gets refurbished. Okay, the electrical, the plumbing, the style, everything. Okay. Now all of a sudden it becomes more desirable. It's worth more value, right? And given that it's all being done, then obviously the value goes up. And in that price bracket, where can you buy something for $210,000 as a 2-bedroom? Okay, anywhere in Ontario. How about Canada? Okay, I mean, I'm talking about on this caliber, right? Sort of thing. I mean, you just can't.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately for us, this apartment complex is within the perimeter beltway of Atlanta. So most American cities have a beltway around them. And in the past, it's always been, people have been trying to move out of the city center past. But now with what's happening with gas prices, with people not wanting to be sitting on the road commuting for 2 hours to get into town, all of a sudden now a lot of these communities that are within the perimeter have become, are changing. People are investing money back into it. And that's happening in a lot of the US cities. So we're within the perimeter, we're in what is considered a hot area, an indicator. And I mean, I'm told by their team that this stuff will sell very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very confident of that. So, and yeah, we're very confident. In fact, Aisha, can you pull up the, can you bring your computer up to show the concept drawings that we just got? If you can show those up, because we'll show you what they're going to be transformed to, just, and the general contractor. Prelude Homes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prelude Homes. We just saw them. I just saw them a couple of days ago, so I wanted her to share those. And I wanted to get a grip on this. Yeah. So again, this is what they're going to look like. So if you can, so think about it. So 2-bedroom, 210,000. These are starting prices, by the way. Okay. And 190,000 for the 1-bedrooms. And just to give you an idea of that, and the reason it's affordable, remember what Rod talked about affordable housing earlier? Okay. Affordable housing aren't for the people that can't get their next meal, not for homeless people, okay? These are giving people a hand up, not a handout. There's a tremendous difference, okay? Yes, we have to help homeless people as well, but in different ways. Yeah. Is it on?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's supposed to be here. Oh, that one. This one is supposed to be, yeah, it's supposed to be.
Oh, it's powering up.
It's powering up? Is it powering up? Gotta get Mandy?
Yeah, it should cost Andy.
What county? Oh. Okay, so as that's coming up, why is this opportunity, yeah, there it is, okay. That's what it's going to look like. Harrison, maybe you can give the finer points. I mean, the shell of the building is the same, but now, because of the visual optics, they've added the fence, for example, for those privacy fences, for
Yeah.
backyards.
Yeah.
That would be an upgrade, that would be an option.
And we painted we're painting the outside of the building so
Right.
it refreshes the look.
Right.
We're going with that blackish, grayish with the white theme.
Because in that neighborhood, by the way, every neighborhood's different. In that neighborhood, this is really, really hot. This is what the buyers want. Again, they're very smart. Okay, but this is what the buyers want. Okay, this is what today's buyers want in that neighborhood. Okay, and we went and took a look at different complexes. Okay.
Yeah, Toll Brothers has a fair number of projects in the same neighborhood.
Correct.
I don't know if you're aware, Toll Brothers is one of the largest home builders in America.
Yeah.
They've got literally hundreds of thousands of units under development. They're selling similar size, actually maybe even a little smaller, because new development is they build them a little smaller. They're in around between $400,000 to $700,000.
Yeah, but even the ones at 400,000, which was the first one that we went to, okay, they're not all on one level. They're on 3 levels, so they're a lot less functional. They're very dysfunctional. If you took the same square footage and you chopped it up on 3 different floors, you're losing a lot of functional space going up and down the stairs, right? And it's like you're in a fishbowl. Because remember when we were in that first one, okay?
Yeah.
And you look and you can't have a private conversation, like, I mean, because there's because they have a lot more restricted land to work with. This property sits on 17 acres. 17 acres, okay? So with 17 acres, and then plus, there's opportunity to build more here.
Yeah, the county is allowing us to build another 300 units on the property. So the plan is to bring in a group of investors
Right.
to help us transform this community, sell them off, and then bring the money and start building the additional 300 units.
Right, right. So you want to reward the seed investors
Yes.
initially, okay? And yeah, so look at these concepts and stuff like that. Like, I mean, it's modern, it's up to date, and it's what they want. And again, they can't get anything like this in this price range in that particular neighborhood, okay? So, and the government is very excited about that because it's increasing quote-unquote affordable housing. There's going to be always a shortage of affordable housing. So when it comes to real estate, I mean, any investment you make, always understand that demand has to be greater than supply. When demand is greater than supply, what's going to happen to the value of your investment? When demand is greater than supply, what's going to happen to the value of your investment?
No.
No?
Demand.
When demand is greater than supply, what's going to happen to the value of your investment? Okay, what's he drinking?
No, because I was thinking about the homes.
Ah, yeah. So when demand is greater than supply, and supply is very restricted, you can't, like, I mean, we went to the next development, which is literally 5 minutes from here, okay? And I was shocked that they were over 50% sold out, and 400,000 plus, and I'm going, it's so dysfunctional, you know, on 3 floors, okay? But yet, hey, and look, the finishes they had were like the same level as these. It's not like they were high-end finishes and stuff like that, okay? So again, we've got a team down there that is very familiar, works that neighborhood, and works that area, and they know exactly what they want. So we've got great networks down there, and a team of trusted people that we work with, and we've known them for years. And so, you know, you're benefiting both ways, because you're benefiting from, you know, being involved with affordable housing, which is always going to be in vogue, right? Always in vogue. And the other thing is, in terms of the investments, can you go to the Get Smarter About Money? Okay, because I want to ask you a question just to see how good your forecasting skills are. Okay, so yeah, so Get Smarter About Money, which I shared with you earlier. Okay, and yeah, and go to the calculator part. Yeah, calculator is a tool. That's it. Compound interest, right? Magic of compound interest. Okay. Now, so let's take the initial investment. Okay. So I really want to get some math here. Okay. Now, don't plug any numbers yet, right? But let's say, okay, let's take initial. We can prorate 100,000 easy. Let's put 100,000 in the initial investment. Okay. Now, let's say you were at the bank. Remember we gave the bank example? Okay. Let's say you were able to get 2% at the bank. I know it's a stretch, but it's the only time I'm going to be stretching for the bank, okay? So if we took 2% at the bank and we put it over the next 20 years, I just want to give you some perspective on this, because I can see that you know, you need perspective. So if 100% at 2%, 100,000 at 2%, compounding annually, paid only once a year, okay? What would it grow to in 20 years? Somebody give me a number. So I didn't hear anything.
In 20 years?
In 20 years, yeah.
Close to 150.
Without using your smartphones?
Are you adding interest to the investment?
Compound interest, yeah.
40,000.
Compound that between 150 and 160,000.
Okay, 150, 160,000?
I
Okay,
would say.
okay, so let's go down.
140.
140, 160, so okay. Now, okay, change that to 20 years. Okay, and watch, go down. okay?
You can compound it,
No, the interest change that to annually? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Now watch this, okay? Calculate it. Okay, so it's 148,000, so you were really, really close. Okay, now,
Not using this.
that's impressive, that's really impressive, okay? Okay, now, this is why it's so important to have a baseline that is above inflation, above what the banks are gonna pay, okay? So remember I said the baseline for me, and multimillionaires back 2005, 2006, was 8%, okay? Now, if it's at 8%, 100,000, okay? What do you think it'll grow to? The difference between 8% and 2%.
Maybe 220, 230,
250?
240. Yeah, maybe like 240 or something, probably.
And what did you say to that?
Between 250 to 280.
Okay, any other tables got a guess? It's a risk-free guess in this room.
Almost 300,000.
Almost 300,000, okay,
Just hit the number.
okay. $466. Pretty impressive, okay? Now, you've had opportunities in this room offering 12.5, 15%, okay? And just so you know what the delta difference is, okay? So, let's do the 12.5. Okay, the same 100,000, again, you're not doing anything else, just putting 100,000 in once at 12.5%. Okay. Now, before you calculate, okay, I want to guess. Okay, I have two guesses in the room. What's it going to grow to? Why it's so important, the magic of compound interest?
$1.5 million.
Yeah.
$1.5 million?
Maybe,
It's over $1 million.
maybe 1.1, 1.2?
1.2.
1.2.
1.2. Okay. Look what it grows to. You're getting better. Okay. $1,054,000, okay, at 12.5%. How many people would prefer to get a 12.5% return versus an 8% return now? And how many people know that it's guaranteed? Okay, plus the 15% return. Okay, now 15. Okay, now what do you think 15 will grow to?
1.2.
1.7, maybe. 1.7 or 1.8, let's say.
1.8. Okay. Take it away. 1.6. Okay. Now listen, that's pretty impressive. Okay. So my point is, have a baseline and understand why it's important. So when people say, "Oh, it's only a percent here, a percent there," that percent matters a lot, and it better be in your favor, right? So again, you can invest short term, you can invest long term, but always make sure that you're doing something with it, not just doing nothing. Or don't leave it to the banks, but let them invest with it. I mean, you can if you love the banks, and if you own the banks, that's fine. But if you don't own the banks, then be like the bank, be smart like them, right? So, Kirsten, so why don't you share your opportunity here, your guaranteed opportunity. You have it at 1 year term.
Yeah, we just have a 1 year term. We're
Just
just
have 1 year
looking for partners to come in
Yes.
to lend us some money to get this renovation done. And we're paying out, what was it, 18%.
18% for this group.
And we're already, in our first phase, we've divided the 216 units into 4 phases.
Yes.
42 units in the first and second phase. So we're looking at about $2 million to raise. We're paying 18% return. And In the first phase, we've already gutted all the units. We've framed up 24 of them, and we've got the subflooring and waterproofing going in this weekend. So
Okay.
we're well underway,
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, so question here, and this is a guaranteed return.
guaranteed.
Guaranteed, and it's guaranteed interest no matter what happens.
Correct.
They're getting their principal and their interest back after 1 year.
Because again, the gain on the property is.
It's much
massive.
higher than that, right?
Yeah,
Right.
it's massive.
Yeah, it is massive. Now, the other thing is, you're being generous. The reason I say this, I want everybody, that he's not gonna, he doesn't feel comfortable just, sharing all those details. But the bottom line is, I mean, from a logical perspective, I know for a fact that he can get the money a lot cheaper by just going to the bank. Okay? He doesn't have to pay 18%, okay? But it's called seed capital, but he's capping it at 2 million. Him and I have had so many conversations about this, right? But for Harrison, it's not about the money, okay? Because he's already done really well. But something drives this man, and it's development. Because when your dream, when I first met you, it's like you want to develop, and now you actually get the opportunity not just to invest, but to develop.
Correct.
Okay, and you get to make a difference with affordable housing and get to help people that otherwise couldn't get into this market, right? So those intangibles, those relationships you build, and you want to share the opportunities with the seed capital investors, because you're still going to be able to go to the bank and get a line of credit and do whatever you have to do for the other stuff later on, but a lot less.
Well, the way I'm looking at it is,
Yep.
I'm trying to find more partners. By
Yeah.
offering this, I'm trying to get more partners involved. Because a lot of people here in Canada are afraid to go into the States.
Yeah.
They don't know the rules, they don't know the ins and outs. I've been down there now for 10 years. So we've got a team, we've got lawyers, we've got everybody in place. One thing that most Canadians don't even realize when they're doing investment real estate in the US is a little thing called the 1031 exchange. So here in Canada, you buy this hotel, for instance, you sell it, you buy it for $1 million, you sell it for $2 million, you're gonna pay tax on that $1 million uplift, right? Down in the States, you sell it for $2 million, you sell it for $10 million. If you replace it within 6 months, you pay
180
zero.
days, 180.
You pay zero
Capital gains tax.
tax, period, nothing, which doesn't exist here in Canada.
Yeah.
So, as a group, if you can bring your money down there, you can grow an empire, and they won't take any tax from you until eventually when you sell, or you turn it over to your for generations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's something that you can just keep on rolling over.
So the snowball effect is far, far larger with the capital gains rollover provision, which is a 1031 exchange. In Canada, it doesn't exist, okay? Because the CRA is not open to it, okay? But the IRS is. And so so basically what I'm saying is on your nest eggs, you can keep on growing your nest eggs perpetually, and you don't have to keep taking tax. That's why a lot of properties here are not on the market, because they can't even pay the capital gains tax. Okay? So I'm talking about investment properties. So this is a great way of accelerating, fueling your net worth even higher by having some of your wealth in real estate that's growing in leaps and bounds. And what I like about it is the fact that it gets on rolling over, so that nest egg, which as long as I don't repatriate it back to Canada, it stays here. It stays there. It stays there. It stays there. So it keeps on growing. So then you're not paying double tax. Just make that crystal clear. Okay. You're not paying any tax on that capital gain. Okay. So long as that nest egg grows bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you're only going to pay the tax, and you can take it a little bit at a time to lower your taxes. Eventually, your estate's gonna pay taxes, but understand your nest egg is gonna be so much bigger because of that compounding effect. Is that clear to everybody? Everyone understands that concept? Okay, and it's all legal, by the way. I agree. So Canadians, we are really shortchanged when it comes to tax advantages compared to the U.S. And part of it is it's the shrinking thinking mentality, and that's just the way it is, right? We're just, especially when the CRA is not your friend. I just want to be very clear. The IRS is not your friend either, but they've had the 1031 exchange, and people are leveraging that all the time. Canadians, we find ourselves shortchanged on a lot of stuff, but that's a huge one. So, anyways, something to keep in mind, and once you hit your seed capital, like around 2 million, that's it, because the rest of the funds will come in from the sales.
Yeah, we're selling it off in phases, so when we close the first phase, it's going, the sales is gonna amount to about 8.5 million, and then we'll probably roll 4.5 million into the 1031 exchange. And pay everybody back for their money, and you guys are welcome to join in the next phase. In the next phase, we are actually looking at hospitality, extended stay hotels, other apartment complexes. We're really not looking at single family homes at all. I mean, it's just, I mean, it's the same amount of work, you might as well get more money from it. But as an individual, it's hard to do, but as a group, you can do it. It's easier.
Right.
Because everybody just chips in a little bit of money.
Right. Because I mean, single-family homes takes a lot longer, okay, and it's too hard to manage them because they're scattered all over the place. Right.
Yeah.
This way, as for the extended stay, this isn't a, well, why don't you give more people, just for clarity, why don't you explain what an extended stay is?
Okay. There's hotel, well, there's hotels, which is a nightly stay. Extended stay is sort of somewhere between hotels and apartments. So it's like a monthly stay type thing, or week-long or monthly or multi-month stay if you're in between moving. A lot of people go to extended stay hotels. It is one segment of the hospitality industry that suffered nothing over COVID because in fact, it actually grew because of frontline workers couldn't go home or didn't want to go and infect their family, so they went and did an extended stay. People who lost homes ended up going into extended stay instead of staying on the streets because not everyone's, people may be homeless, but not people who are working can still afford to stay in an extended stay until they figure out their stuff and then get back into another home. So there's a lot of applications for extended stay hotels, and it actually is the fastest growing segment in the hospitality industry because there's a lot of work now because of the global economy. A lot of companies send people all over the place, and if they're going there for 6 months, they're not going to buy a house, or in a lot of cases leases are a year, so you go into an extended stay and book in a lease for 6 months. So that's one of the reasons we were looking at that stuff too. So,
and that's one of the options, to roll over the profits that we have from this, roll it into the other projects, right? Without having to pay any tax. But here in Canada, you can't do that. Okay.
yeah, Peter, you got the wrong guy up here talking because I'm not a salesman.
You don't have to be, you just have to be yourself, right? Okay, this is about offering opportunities and sharing successes. And again, looking at partners, okay? Because again, you share more through others, and we're able to do more together than we are alone, right? It just makes sense. So again, it's an awesome opportunity that's just, exclusive, right? And we look forward to, helping more people.
I mean, I have a small group of partners right now on the projects we're doing. We grew from, well, when this one completes, we've grew from roughly $3 million in investment up to about 35 million in the course of several years. So it is, you can do it down there. It's a lot easier to do it down there. And the property still makes sense. I mean, even if people were to even buy these condos, the people across the street and other builds in the area are renting in around the $1,700 to $2,500 a month range for rentals. Think about it. Where do you buy in Toronto, or even in a lot of Canada, a property for 210 and you're able to get $2,000 a month in rent?
You can't. Don't do that. Yeah. But for the one bedrooms there in that particular neighborhood, something comparable, you're looking at about $1,800 a month of rent for the one bedrooms, one bath, and for two bedrooms, two baths, you're looking at about 2,100, right? So, I mean, it's pretty impressive.
But I'm not here to sell you guys on buying the condos. I'm just looking for
No,
partners
just for
to
the
come
state
in.
capital. Because these ones, the majority of these ones, just for financing purposes, the majority of these ones are going to be sold to end users, people that won't be investors. They're going to be people that want to live there themselves, right?
Well, I mean, in the States, I mean,
Yeah.
your team has found
Yeah.
financing for the low-income people who are buying these
Yeah.
at 3.99.
Yeah. Again, that's not normal, that's not regular, but that's through our network, right? So, because the rates in the States right now is around 6.7%, the average rate they're getting into there. But we've got a special financing network that can give these people, the first time we're buying in here, for $399. That's the initial rate. Okay. So again, it's a way of getting them qualified, getting them in, and guess what? They're paying that in rent now. So basically, you can buy one of these things, okay, for pretty much the same thing they're paying rent, and only they're going to be building equity because it's their own property.
You know, we're trying to change the trajectory of
Yeah.
the renter mentality into
Yeah.
an owner mentality.
Yeah, yeah. And when we do that, why we do it? Because we know it's the right thing to do. You know? So, yeah.
So Peter, just a quick question.
Yes, Ed.
So these are one bedroom, two bedroom.
Yeah. Condominium apartments, yeah.
You're buying at 100, between 40, 50 to renovate, and then you say at 210, sorry, 190, 210.
Yeah, so, okay, we're not buying, they're already owned, okay? We already own them, okay? Harrison's partners already own them, okay? They already own them outright, okay? As apartments. However, we've gone through the process to have them recondominiumized,
Yeah.
so it's a transformation. And we're putting on an average around 35,000 units, one bedrooms and two bedrooms, okay? And then the price that we're selling them at, when they're ready to show, is between 190,000 for the one bedrooms and 210,000. That's the starting prices, okay? And then when they all sell out, we're going to be taking those profits and we're going to be buying something else.
That's
Okay?
what the end users you're selling them.
I'm sorry, what's that?
You're selling it to an end user, somebody who's.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, it's gonna go as rental, and you rent.
Oh no. That's what I'm saying. The majority is going to be owner occupied. Like some investors will want to buy them just because the returns are really good. However, for financing purposes, we know that we need to have at least 67%, actually 70%, depends on the lender. Some are 67, some are 70.
If somebody's buying from here, they are expected to receive $2,000 a month.
Sorry, what was the question?
If the investor is from here,
Yes.
Canada, is buying down there, one of those units,
Right.
at 200, just round figure.
Yeah, right.
They are expecting to see $2,000 return a month
Yes.
as a rental?
Yeah.
But I'm not here to sell
No,
you guys the
we're
units.
not selling any units here. I'm going to be real clear. We're not selling any units here. We're just telling you what's there. What Harrison's offering here today. Like we're selling units down there. Okay, we've already got more than enough demand down there. Okay. We are only, Harrison is looking, and I'm looking at the same thing, we're looking at expanding our network here. We're offering an opportunity for seed capital investors to come in. Now, the opportunity, okay, it's a minimum 20,000 to come in, okay? Okay, he's looking for $2 million total seed capital, right? And we've already raised a fair amount towards that. However, once you get to about the 2 million, and then he's gonna cut it off, because the rest of the money he can go connect. But the reason why he's doing this, I mean, he can get the money from the bank a lot less, but he doesn't want the bank to be his long-term partner. He wants people like us to be his partner. He's got already banks down there that will give him the money for a lot less, but again, it's about expanding the network, right? And so that way you're benefiting, and then you get the benefit on the rollover too. So again, if you choose to take the money, you don't have to roll it over, but you're gonna pay tax on it. Guess what? You're Canadian, and the CRA is not gonna let you earn income without paying tax on it when it's in Canada. And when it gets repatriated across the border, CRA is gonna say, hey, where's their pound of flesh? How it works.
Yeah, if you guys come in, we can walk you through the steps of setting up a corporation and doing a 1031 with us when the time comes.
Yeah, yeah. And again, that's it's not an obligation, it's just, I'm taking that option, of course, because I mean, here, all my money is taxed, right? Outside my principal residence. My principal residence, that's tax deferred for as long as I own it, okay, until I die or until I sell it. So I never plan on selling my principal residence, but I can roll over from principal residence, we can only do it once a year. And the government changed it to 365 days to 366 days. So you can't do more than one in a year. So if you do, then you get nailed, you're paying capital gains tax on one of them, right? So you don't want to do that. Right? So investment property, you only get a 50% capital gains tax rollover, which you defer capital gains to 50% of it. But here, you're getting 100% rollover. It just doesn't get any better than that. Right? So yeah, exactly. Okay, so but this is not selling units. We're not selling units here today. Regardless, we're not selling them. We're just educating through them. That's what I'm doing.
Partner, private money.
Yeah.
Yes, right. We're raising private capital. Yeah.
Private capital, and hoping that in the future we see us do the work and the performance, that you would join us as partners.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah.
And the investment here is at 18% return.
Correct.
That's right. Yeah, 18% per year. It's a 1-year term. That's it. Yeah, it's 1 year. Yeah. And then you get your principal and you get the interest 1 year. That's it. Done. Right. This is not a perpetual thing that's going to go on for years and years and years.
You mentioned it is 1 year, you get 50%, and there's a future projects.
Then again, it's going to be, but my point is, it's always going to be your choice as the investor, whether or not you decide to go to the future projects or not.
And some people might not like hotels, This places like this, they generally generate about 9% return.
Per year.
Per year, but that's without appreciation, right?
9%?
9.
Yeah, about 9%. So, I mean, you buy a place like this, especially if it's within the city limits where appreciation's still growing, you're making 9%, but that's not counting any appreciation, so.
Now, if you are putting it only for a year, how much tax would you pay in Canada?
You don't pay any tax if you keep it in the U.S. But
No, I say you.
Then it's
Well, it just is regular income back.
regular income.
It's
So
no different than you investing in.
regular interest income. So, for example, if you're in a 40% marginal tax bracket and you make another, $10,000, then you're going to pay $4,000 tax to the CRA. You're going to keep 6. But if you don't do anything, you're going to pay CRA 0, but you're going to pay yourself 0 too. You always have to take a look at what you net, right?
It's not a bad thing to pay tax.
And by the way, this is passive income. How many hammers and construction tools they have to pick up they burn this month?
Oh, maybe if they invest, I'll give them a 2 belt.
He is salesman.
Actually, we're not allowed to pick up hammers down there.
No, we can't.
We can't take the jobs away from the US. Mind you, we've seen a lot of workers down there, and we want to pick up the hammer sometimes. Okay, and some of the crews that we had in the past, man, it was hammer time.
I'm telling you, the US has it all wrong. This thing about the border and everything, they need as many of those people as they can get.
Oh, yes, they did.
Because Americans just don't want to work.
Well, I won't say, I mean, some Americans.
Some Americans, yeah.
Let me show you the math on that, okay? According to global statistics, Americans are the most productive people on planet Earth per capita. Per capita. However, understand, the Americans, they have what, 330 million people? Well, guess what? There's a lot of space for socialists, okay, that don't want to work and do everything that, like, we've seen those forms. It's unbelievable. Okay? The excuses that you come up with, you know, like, oh, my dog wasn't feeling well today, so I didn't come into work, or I'm feeling, you know, it's whatever, or just not showing up.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Okay. But you got to show up to go up, right? The fact of the matter is, though, I don't want to, you know, universally say that Americans don't want to work, because they're really hard workers. The productivity is off the charts, okay, per capita, okay? However, because of socialism is not a good thing. It's not a productive thing. It's exactly, it runs rampant counterproductive to productivity. So, do we need to help people that can't help themselves? Yes. But unfortunately, the system, okay, is broken. And there are people that take advantage of the system. Like even in Canada, you know, with those payments during COVID, they found about half of them were fraudulent claims. And in fact, now they have to pay interest and penalties because they claimed money that they shouldn't have received because they didn't follow the guidelines. But what a waste. What a waste. And look at all the bios in their bill, back 2008, 2009. A lot of those bailouts were inflated, okay? Unnecessarily, okay? And for people thinking, oh, the U.S. isn't a safe place to invest, because look at the collapse of the second and third largest banks in U.S. history. Not the second and third, be very careful. They're not the second and third largest banks in the U.S., not by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, Silicon Valley Bank, it's like, there are thousands of banks in the U.S., okay? The top 200 don't even represent the top 5%, bottom 95%, the bottom 5%. They're just tiny, okay? So the point here is, okay, the big banks are not gonna go under. And this is not the savings and loan crisis at all, right? But people panic when they don't know what they don't know, okay? And that's what happens when they think they're lining up in the banks to get their deposits. No, they don't have to worry about that. But if you do it strategically, you don't have to worry about that stuff. And so your money's protected. I mean, this investment is in U.S. dollars, and it's paid back in U.S. dollars, right? It's done electronically by wire, and then the funds will go back by wire. That's just the way it rolls. Simple, right? So, yeah, that's it. So it's a straight to seed capital investment, and that's it. If you want to know more about it, then you can talk to Karen.
Actually, Peter's arranging it, so.
Yeah, or you can talk to me. If you want to know any other stuff about the project or anything like that, you can ask either one of us, right?
Yeah.
So I did want to thank you for your time. I did want to ask you a favor. If you could, if you haven't done so already, if you could please share your thoughts about the value you received today with Peter Kay, our videographer and photographer. Thank you, Peter. Didn't you do a great job today? If you could just share, the value you received today, or anything that we added, ACTUS added value, ACTUS Real Estate Investors Club added value for us, please let us know so we can share with others.